Hi. So, we're going to talk about information literacy now and its connection to social emotional learning. In fact, I think that in order to be literate with news, information, and media, it is essential to have a pretty sophisticated level of social emotional maturation. So, let's take the Castle framework and overlay what our experience with information acquisition happens to be. So, first of all, when we're talking about self awareness, we're asking ourselves, our colleagues, our students to be aware of what their triggers are, to be aware of what their filter bubbles are. And so that's really part of that fundamental self awareness piece of these development domains. Add to that, then, the issue of self management. If I'm self aware, how do I self regulate? And we can think about things like reposting and our impulse control. When it comes to social awareness, then we're looking at our interactions when we're online. What kinds of things are we posting? Where do we comment? How do we comment? How are we interacting with other people online? And that, of course, gets into our relationship skills. I know if you are anything like me, you have lots of friends who have blocked other people on social media because of their views on particular issues and have even declared on their social media feeds that they have unfriended, so to speak, certain people or lots of people because of the views that they espouse. So again, our information literacy and our relationship skills are really intertwined. And finally, when we're talking about our students and their responsible decision making, then we're really looking at ourselves introspectively and asking if we seek to be informed, how we become informed, what we do with the information that we're acquiring. So again, there are lots of protocols on the Project Zero website that help to address these issues of both information literacy and social emotional learning on the website for Project Zero, and I'm going to just walk you through one of them. It's called True for Who, and it's a routine, as they say, for exploring truth claims from different perspectives. And like any good protocol, it is applicable across grade levels. It is applicable across subject areas or discipline content areas. So there's basically four steps: discuss, brainstorm, as they say, dramatize, and then stand back. So we'll look at this in the context of a claim, a claim that you might see frequently on social media. So here's a claim that cancel culture is a witch hunt. It's against public figures for their personal, political, and ideological reasons. And so this is a claim that you may have students who have made this claim. This may be a claim that you support, certainly a claim that you may have encountered on social media or in your news feeds. And so the first step in this protocol is to discuss, and for students to begin to ask what's the context in which this claim is made, and then what is at stake when this claim is being promoted. And this is something they could discuss in the context of people they know who have been the target of cancel culture, people who have been the purveyors of cancel culture. They might talk about this in terms of literature, they might talk about this in terms of music or Hollywood, all different kinds of contexts. The next step then is for them to look at the different points of view from which this claim can be examined. So back to that what is at stake piece, who has a stake in making this claim or in this claim being made, and how many different points of view are there? So we don't see this as binary. There's a pro or a con, there's a good or a bad, but there are multiple perspectives, multiple points of view, and they all may have points of intersection with other points of view and then unique aspects as well. Next is the dramatize step. And this is where the students start to take on a viewpoint. It may be a viewpoint they agree with, it may be a viewpoint with which they disagree, but they start to think about what's true and what's false around this claim. And then what might make me change my mind, where my point of view is on this claim, on this issue. How am I being challenged by going through the steps of this protocol? Lastly, students then can collaborate and have a full class discussion around what new questions and what new ideas are emerging as they explore this claim with this kind of depth. Now, imagine we could do this exact same process with a contradictory claim. Perhaps you undertake the claim that cancel culture provides historically marginalized groups a voice in response to the people and institutions that have repressed them. The same four steps of the protocol still result in a really effective introspective conversation around this issue that asks the students to become aware of what their beliefs are, where their beliefs come from, what they do with those beliefs, how they act and react, and also ask them to make space for other people's points of view on this subject. There's another protocol on the Project Zero website. I'm not going to step through it, but just show it to you here. It's called Facts or Fiction, and it asks students to examine a news item. It could be an image, it could be a painting, an historical photograph, a political cartoon, or they examine a personal experience, a historical event, a current events issue, and they again go through these four steps. What did you perceive is being conveyed by this piece of material that we're understanding together, this artifact? Who would decide to convey this message and why would they convey it? And so that could be someone who would create the message, but by asking convey the message, this also could be someone who reposts the message. They're not the original author, but they continue to give this message traction. How else could this artifact be interpreted? And then what do you believe is true in this conversation and in this artifact, in this piece of media? And then what makes you think that? So again, students are both examining media, examining self, and examining others in order to understand this piece of information as they're beginning to develop their competencies in both information literacy and social emotional learning. And so the question now is, how might you use these protocols in your library? And my dear and trusted colleagues will guide you in a bit of a conversation about this before you move on to the next point. Thank you so much for your time, for your listening, and do tag me as you're doing this work. Share it out on Twitter and social media so I can celebrate the good work that you're doing. Take care.